Chaturmukha samarambham Vagbhadacharya madhyamam Asmadacharya paryandam Vande Guru Paramparam Ragadirogan Sadatanushaktan Asheshakaya Prasrudanasheshan Aulsukya Moharadidan Jakhana Yopurva Vaidyaya Namostu Tasmai. Namaskaram to all. So in our first session, we were supposed to start the Jara Nidanam, but incidentally, we switched over to some other areas in the Sarvaroga Nidanam bit, of course, which is quite essential, because without a proper understanding of what we find in the Sarvaroga Nidanam, which is supposed to be again the very basics of the Nidana Pathanam, Nidana learning in Ayurveda, I think it makes no sense to rush through the chapters. And this is a Swadhyayam program. So we have no targets to cover this much slokas in this much time and prepare ourselves for the studies, nothing like that. So Jara Nidanam was our context, and we came across a few slokas in the Sutrasthana as well. And it repeatedly we find that it is the understanding of dosha with all its permutations and combinations and its attachments with various dushyas, then the involvement of different srotas, then malas, all these things. So understanding the finer aspects of these sort of samsarga and murchanam, all these things, that is going to be the fundamental learning that a Vaidya should have before entering into the chikitsa. And in multiple situations, the samanya samprapti, the way in which samprapti is conceived in Ayurveda, is discussed in various contexts. One such context is dosha dushta rasaihi dhadun dushayanti ubhaye malan. Then, so dosha dushtaha rasaihi dhadun dushayanti. This is very, very important. In all sorts of nija vikaras, at least. Agandu is the same case, but it should be understood in a little bit extended manner. That's all. It is not different. So, dosha dushtaha rasaihi dushtaha doshaha. Rasa stands for all, as a representative of all nimitta karanas. Rasa is not just the shadrasas, but it stands as a representative of all possible nimitta karanas. So, rasaihi dushtaha doshaha dhadun dushayanti. So, there is a sequence of events. Then, ubhaye malan dushayanti. So that is progressing. Then dosha, dhadu and mala, they cause, and this malayanas are involved. Malayana again is not just about the malayana, but all sorts of ayana. It is a representation again. But specifically, the malayanas also will be showing that sort of an involvement, or that presentations in various forms, like the lakshanas. So dosha dushta rasaihi dhadun dushayanti ubhaye malan. And malam, what does the malas do? They malayanani dushayanti. Yatha swanteshwado gadaha. Gadaha vikaraha vyadhayaha. Accordingly, according to the involvement of the ayanas, specifically here given is Malayana, but that need not be taken as exclusively Malayanas, all sorts of ayanas. So that shows the involvement of Srotas. But then why the Malayanas are highlighted? So when somebody is selected as a representative of some event, there should be some importance. That is also discussed in multiple platforms. Because the Malayanas show the malas which is getting thrown out of the system. So the mala pariksha, the way in which the malas are excreted, its nature. For example, sagrit or mutram, svedam, netramalam, karnamalam, then mukha malam, all these things, the malas, a proper examination, observation and the examination of these malas will give the clinician a fairly good idea about what is happening inside. This is very important. Generally, we are least bothered about all these things, but they give us a finer understanding about what is happening inside the Sharira. What is happening inside the Sharira? What is happening inside the Sharira is a continuous process. What is that continuous process? A continuous process on the sneha of the Sharira. Actually, these malas are of two types. One, the gross malas like Shagrit, Svedam, Mutram, etc. And there are some sort of a subtle forms of malas as well. I do not mean the Netramala, Karnamala type of things, which are comparatively subtler than Shagrit and Mutra. It is not like that. Still subtle forms or subtler forms of malas. That is also very important when you consider the status of Srodas in the Sharira. Status of Srodas in the Sharira is very crucial. And that subtle malas can be indirectly perceived. What is happening to this subtler malas in the Sharira can be indirectly perceived by a proper observation of the gross malas. Because ultimately, all these malas are products of some sort of changes which are happening in the sneha, in the Sharira. Sharira is on a constant move, a constant transformation, constant changes are happening in the sneha, in the Sharira. From the time of conception, the time of the fusion between the Shukra and Artava, along with the jiva. From that matra onwards, some force is working on it for continuous transformation. From 1 to 2, 2 to 4, 4 to 8, that sort of a expansion is happening. Saptahad, Kalali Bhavad, then it is growing. So Sneha Sanchayam is happening, and along with that Sneha Sanchayam, it is not just piling up of the Sneha, but during the very process of that piling up of the Sneha, some sort of a differentiation is also happening. Grading of the Sneha is happening. So we have a pool of Sneha, which is again get accumulated by the ahara saram or ahara rasam or whatever it is. Sometimes this ahara saram or ahara rasam is contributed by the mother. After some time, own rasa, own sara is going to contribute into this. And during this accumulation, within there is another change is happening, which is about the differentiation, and that differentiation is very important. It is simultaneous. There is no stage at one point, okay, now we will stop compiling or accumulating at one point here. Now we will start transforming, differentiate the sneha into different grades. It is not like that. Things are happening simultaneously, uninterruptedly. And as a result of this sort of a continuous differentiation, what is happening? The dhadus are formed. This is predetermined. In particular, jati. Jati means manushyanam manushyatvam. Manushyanam manushyatvam. So anybody who is coming under the manushya jati, the way in which this differentiation is supposed to happen is predetermined, swabhavaha. So there are 7 dhadus in the sharira. It is predetermined, swabhava, manushyanam, manushyatvam. In a manushya, you are not supposed to look for an 8th dhadu, or you cannot omit one dhadu and find, okay, or there are only 6 dhadus in a particular manushya. It is not possible. So it is predetermined and as a part of swabhava. So accumulate, differentiate, and distribute. Accumulate, differentiate, and distribute within. This is continuously happening, uninterruptedly happening from the time of the fusion of the Shukrartava till the time where the Jiva is getting separated from this Bhuta Sharira. Why all these things are important in Jvara Nidanam? That could be a good question. Because without knowing all these very basics, apart from the domain of writing examinations, we should have a deep understanding of these ideas. This is something which we call as, the other day I was mentioning this point in some other platform. It is all about some sort of a prajna samskaranam. What is the word? Prajna samskaranam. What is prajna samskaranam? Prajna samskaranam is the way in which one's thought process is conditioned. How to look at one issue, one problem with your perspective, that depends on how your prajna is samskrita. So we should have some sort of a prajna samskaranam, which is fundamentally placed on Ayurvedic thought. Otherwise, you will not be able to see the problem with an Ayurvedic perspective. So the understanding these very basic, that means sneha is getting accumulated continuously, and simultaneously there is some sort of a differentiation is happening, and this differentiated material is simultaneously getting distributed all across. So fundamentally three things are happening. Forget about Rama, Krishna or somebody else. X, take it as any manushya, manushyanam manushyatvam. So any manushya, this is continuously happening. Accumulate, differentiate, distribute. So you will be getting the basic idea why we have three doshas, or what does the concept of tridosha mean. It is about the continuous processes, uninterrupted processes which are happening in a Manushya Sharira from the time of conception till the death, Jivatyagam. Until that moment, body is in a constant business of accumulate, differentiate, distribute. Accumulate, differentiate, distribute. Of what? Of sneha. Nothing but sneha. So that is why we say that sneha saro ayam purushaha. Sneha saro ayam purushaha. You can't work on any other substratum than sneha. Sneha is accumulated, sneha is differentiated, sneha is distributed. Nothing else. So, sneha saro ayam purushaha. So in this process, especially in the accumulation, some sort of an intelligence is working. Again, that intelligence is based on the swabhava. That intelligence is based on swabhava. The way in which this intelligence is operating in one jadi need not be the same as the intelligence is operating in a different jadi. That is why that particular group is known as a jadi. You can't expect the Shonida, the Rakta Dhadu of one particular jadi to be exactly same as the Rakta Dhadu of another jadi. It is possible. This is Swabhava. And during this differentiation, the act of differentiation, which is done by Agni, this act of differentiation, do not forget, it is done by Agni, and whenever this differentiation is happening, there will be a Sarakitta Vibhajanam. What is that Saram? That Saram specifically means the way in which it is supposed to be differentiated, and whatever is to be taken, extracted out of that differentiation, that is called the Saram. So whatever is left over is known as Kittam. So when you have one particular object placed on your tabletop, and you are trying to make some sort of a differentiation, a heap of beads. You have a heap of, or a bowl full of beads of various colors, and you are planning to select the red beads out of it. You have a target. I am going to select all the red beads. So the target is defined. That means to collect the red beads. So the saram is defined. What is going to be the saram of your act? You are going to collect the red beads. So whatever is left over will be practically known as kittam. You are going to separate it away from your red beads. So you are working on that beads, and at one point you collect the red beads in one separate bowl, and then all the leftovers are known as kittam. It does not mean that these separated things are useless, but it does mean that it should be separated. It should be kept away, and it should be separated. Then only the red beads can be maintained in its identity, in its originality. Otherwise, if you keep those things together again, in no time they will come together, they will mix up, and ultimately there will not be a separation between the red beads and the other beads. In the same way, that means there's some sort of a contamination is happening if left unseparated in the heap of red beads. It is again going to be mixed up with the rest of the beads. So the whole collection is going to be contaminated again with beads which are not supposed to be mixed with the red beads. In the same way, in the differentiation process of the sneha in the sharira, you have certain targets. So whatever is going to meet the target is known as the sara, and the leftovers will be known as kitta. And this kitta should be kept away from the sara, otherwise in no time it is going to contaminate the sara again. That contamination potential makes these separated items, the kittam, to be known by the name mala. Malinikarana, but it is also a bead. It is also useful for some other purpose, and it is also a part of sneha, and it will be kept separated constantly because more and more sneha is going to be added. So this process is also continuously happening as part of the maintenance of the body, sharira, adding sneha, differentiating sneha, and distributing sneha. This is a constant process. So you should, as a part of a visualization exercise, you should see these things in the mind. Sneha is getting accumulated sneha, there is no pause. This is a continuous process. Sneha is getting poured, it is getting differentiated, it is getting distributed. Whenever there is differentiation, there is sara kitta vibhajana. Sara is the one which is going to be distributed to the targets. Kitta is going to be distributed to their containers. And this process is going on continuously. So this is what sharira is. And this differentiation gives rise to different dhadus. And it is made, all the dhadus are made out of sneha with different combination of other gunas. With the different combinations of other gunas. So sneha is the snigdha guna, along with maybe lakhu and sita and tikshna or mrudu, then that forms one aspect. Sneha with some other combination in which one element may be dominating, that forms another combination. And based on the swabhava of the sharira, which will be influenced by multiple factors. The first factor is that it is manushya. So you can't expect a dhadu formed in the manushya sharira which is different from other manushya sharira. Manushyanam manushyatvam. So the dhadus that way will be common, similar in all the manushya shariras. But it will be different from the sharira of a different jati. That is one sort of a swabhava. Then the contributing principles of Shukra and Artava, that will be influencing. Then the Prakriti will be influencing how the Sara Kitta Vibhajanam should be happening in the Sharira. Then the concept of Sara, what we have learned, the Asti Sara or Shukra Sara, all those things. that defines or decides how the Sarakitta Vibhajanam, how the grading of Sneha should happen in a particular Sharira. So based on these sort of multiple variables, Manushya Sharira is a plant in which continuous accumulation, differentiation and distribution is happening, and as a part the Sarakitta Vibhajana is happening. Kitta is kept within the system but differentiated, still it in the Sneha form, and this pool of Sneha, what is considered as a that one bulk, the Sharira as a whole, can be grossly or generally called as Kleda. That is what Kleda is, in short. And the Sara, which is separated out of this Kleda and kept in specific targets, assigned with specific karmas, they are known as dhadus. So there is a pool of Sneha in which this differentiation and distribution is happening, and it is getting topped up by accumulation. So there is a pool which is the background pool where these freshly added Sneha, accumulated Sneha along with the Malarupa Sneha and the Sara Sneha, which is going to be the Dhadus, are all together known as Kleda, from which this Malarupa Sneha is to be slowly removed and excreted from the Sharira. Otherwise, they have the potential of contaminating the Sneha beyond one threshold, as if we are keeping the separated red beads and other beads together. There is a risk of this red beads being contaminated by mixing with the other beads. This Malinikarana Swabhavam, that is known as the Malinikaranad Mala. In no time, beyond that threshold, they will start contaminating the separated best quality Sneha or specifically assigned Sneha. So they will be keep on moving in a particular manner through particular well-defined pathways so that they get excreted in a continuous way, in a particular pre-programmed manner. So what? Where did we start from? We started from the importance of understanding the malas. So when you look at the status of mala, Shagrit Pariksha, Sweda Pariksha, Mutra Pariksha, all these things are grosser forms of mala pariksha. And when you look at those substances which are getting excreted through the malayanas, Jihva Pariksha, when you do the Jihva Pariksha, you are not just seeing the tongue, but the malas on the tongue as well. Netra Pariksha, Karna Pariksha, Ghrana Pariksha, all these situations, you are seeing the kleda which is in the mala form got secreted or excreted from the Sharira. So from a pool of Sneha, and that is visible, Pratyaksha. So they are working as the true ambassadors of the type of differentiation which is happening within. Otherwise, you can't see it. But with a proper Malapariksha, you are seeing it. And a proper understanding, proper observation, examination of these malas that give you a fairly sharp idea about what is happening within. So that itself is going to be a basic understanding and basic training in our clinical methodology. How to examine the sthula malas and understand what is happening within in the well-defined activities of accumulation, differentiation, and distribution. So that way, Malas play very crucial. That is why the Malayanas are becoming a prime statement in that explanation of Samanya Samprapti. What was the Samanya Samprapti that we observed? Dosha dushtaha rasaihi dhadun dushayanti. Doshaha dushtaha rasaihi dhadun dushayanti. Ubhaye malan. Ubhaye malan. Then some examples of the Sthula Malayanas. Adhodve sapta shirasi घानि स्वेदवहानि च मला मलायनानि स्युः यथा स्वं तेष्वदो गदाः. So teshu yatha swam gadaha. So it is to be, actually there is some tricky points in this explanation. From whatever is told, you have to understand what is not told. So this is actually an example of a Sutra Rupa Visadhikarana explanation. From that, whatever is told in a gross form, you can ask the question, why Malayanas and Yathaswam Teshwadogada? You can expect all diseases in the Sthula Malayanas only. There are no other possible way of disease manifestation. These are all valid questions in the primary level, but when you start clinically practicing, these are going to be representations of a very gross process which is happening within, and that represents that the accumulation, differentiation, and the distribution. So that way, I think this shloka, Samanya Samprapti, as explained in the very Sutrasthana itself, Dosha Dushta Rasaihi Dhadun Dushayamdi Ubhaye Malan Adhodve Sapta Shirasi Ghani Svedavahani Cha Mala Malayanani Syuri Yadhaswam Teshwado Gadaha Yadhaswam Teshwad Ataha Param Yadhaswam Teshwato Gadaha. These three lines is actually a mesmerizing explanation of understanding the Samanya Samprapti in a subtler level. And that highlights actually much more than the examination of dosha and the dhatu. These three lines highlight the importance of understanding the art of mana pariksha, so that you will get the exact mirror images of what all processes are happening within the sharira, which is not pratyaksha otherwise. So that way, I think we will conclude today. Again, I think we may take a few sessions to get into the Jvara Nidanam. That doesn't matter. It is not at all a concern, because basically what we have to do is to understand the Ayurvedic clinical methodology. Is there a methodology of clinical examination in Ayurveda? That is becoming a big question these days. And many a times answer is, or at least the answer which is aired is that no, there is no clinical methodology in Ayurveda. That is a wrong notion. Ayurveda has got its own clinical methodology, which can be again continuously added on by the contemporary knowledge systems, no problem. But it should be differentiated properly within and distributed in the correct directions. So again, there comes accumulation from all other available knowledge systems, doesn't matter, but differentiate it properly and distribute it properly. So I think we will slowly reach to Jvara Nidanam. We are concluding here. So good day. And we conclude with the Bhishajam Sadhu Guptanam Bhadram Agamasalinam Abhyasta Karmanam Bhadram Bhadrabhilashinam. Namaskar.